So basically, BT evil, everyone hates them. I also love the fact that everybody, absolutely everybody with any kind of opinion on the subject believes that BT...
we are live.
Again.
Literally every week, and I'm sorry I just peeked, I know that. Literally every week we do this. Why did they take away this fucking countdown timer? Every week. Son of a...
Do you want some salt?
Nope, got my whiskey, I'm cool with that. So, hello people, welcome to episode 17 of Talkin Tech. Welcome to episode 17 of Talkin Tech, a weekly podcast from MobileTechTalk, hosted by myself, Dom Lamberti. I am at mobile_Dom on Twitter. I am joined this week by Mark Ramos at Mark2410 and Chris Wallace at ChrisWallace959. Sorry we're a day late. I didn't have internet yesterday, so you could have...
Yeah, hence
what are you going to do?
Call at the very beginning our little bit of chat about BT and what we think of them.
Yeah, it's not very nice things. As a friend of mine once said, hella monopoly is hella monopoly. So, starting off this week, I want to speak about what happened yesterday, which was the Apple event, which obviously I didn't have internet yesterday. I got texted all these details because so much stuff happened yesterday. So we have the iPhone SE, there's no number, it's just iPhone SE, and the iPad Pro 9.7. Essentially, Apple gutted a 5S and put 6S specs inside, and Apple gutted an iPad Air 2 and put an iPad Pro specs inside.
Recurring theme?
Yeah, pretty much. The only real difference is on the iPad Pro 9.7, it's got 2, not 4 gigs of RAM, and the SE has the old front-facing camera, really shitty, and the first-gen Touch ID sensor, which is like arthritically dog slow.
It still works though.
It still works. It's what they ship in all the iPads. The only devices that use the Touch ID 2 sensor are the 6S and 6S Plus. Everything else uses the original Touch ID sensor. But the thing I'm finding quite funny is, and someone's going to have to answer that door because everything on my desk is about to vibrate because of this fucking doorbell. I love this doorbell, by the way. Go read my Doorbell D101 review. So the iPhone SE is a very high-end phone. And people apparently are surprised that if you put a flagship processor in a device with a sub-720p screen, it's going to have good performance.
Dun 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 dun.
And there's only so many times I can hit my head up against a wall, a desk, a piece of marble, some glass, whatever, before I exhibit some serious brain damage. But why are people surprised? If you put a Snapdragon 820 with a 720p display, it's going to be great as well. It's like lower screen resolution means less work on the GPU, less strain. It's gonna
which would then in turn mean some better battery life.
Exactly, which is what something with battery I'm guessing is in the 15 to 1700 milliamp hour range is going to be. Like,
Does somebody actually have a brainwave at Apple?
I don't know. Like I said, it's not a bad device. I know a lot of people that are going to buy the SE. Sadly, I know a lot of people that are going to buy the 16 gig SE, but
really?
That's another issue. The SE comes in 16 or 64 gigs. There's no 128 gig model.
Although, if you think about it, it's not trying to be the flagship. It's trying to be.
Yeah, no, I don't hold
here,
anything against them. I don't see many people going to be buying 128 anyway.
I mean, I don't think a lot of people are buying 128 gig 6S and 6X Pluses. I'm just saying the offer is usually there, no matter how few people are going to buy it. I mean, they just introduced a 256 gig iPad.
About time is all I'm going to say on that one.
But is it really though? I mean, do people have? I mean, it might just be me seeing as I like stream everything. But like, my mum's got an iPad 2 that is 16 gigs that everyone in the house uses, and it's an iPad 2, so it's super ancient, and it's still not full up.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to fill it up unless you want to keep video on there, and if you do, you will eat that in absolutely no time.
All the porn in the world.
I did fill my M8, that's 16 gigs. I did fill that, but after a reset and then putting everything, virtually everything minus 1 or 2 apps that I can't remember why I didn't take off earlier, I managed to chunk it down to about 10 gigs. So I managed to claw about 4 gigs.
Yeah, no, it's like
just off a reset.
I use 16 gig devices like every day, and I've never until this last week run into like low storage space. And
yeah,
I looked, and my niece had gotten my phone and taken like 200 photos on burst mode. So I was like, oh, that's probably taken a good chunk of space. And there was like loads of apps I'd installed to test, and then never installed. Once I'd done all that, I was like, oh, that's what space is.
Yeah, but I would have liked to have seen, and maybe it'll happen with the next iPhone, but I would like Apple to kind of push the market and have the baseline model at 64.
Yeah.
32 base.
No, I think 64. I want the market
32 gig like 2 generations ago. There's a reason they didn't ship 32 gig dies. It's whether it's cost, I don't know. Maybe they just want the 64 gig to seem more
compelling,
a reasonable upgrade. But
yes, that's why they do it, because they want you to pay that little bit extra, so they make a huge markup on the extra storage.
And it isn't actually all that much to quadruple the storage. I think it's...
Yeah, but Flash is cheap.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're definitely making like a hella markup, but I'm just saying, it's like $389 for the 16 gig in the UK, $389 for 16, and like $439 for the 64 gig.
No, 100 quid flaming difference.
It's 50 quid to quadruple your storage.
Yeah, but I would have liked to have seen there be no 16. I would like to see the base model start at 64.
Oh no, I will say this like unequivocally. I will move up so people can see my mouth move. If your device costs over £200, there should not be a 16 gig option.
No.
Simple as. If it's over £200, it should not have a 16 gig option. Simple as.
I don't think even the 6P comes in 16 gig, does it?
No, it's 32, 64, and 128. The Nexus 5X is 16 and 32.
That's trying to be a different phone altogether, though.
Yeah, I know.
There is some justification in that.
5X,
yeah, to be fair, the 5X was trying to be a phone that was trying to make nobody buy it. I mean, really, it was.
Yeah.
Although, to differentiate that between the Honor 5X and the Nexus 5X, although they're both made technically by the same company.
What? The...
Huawei?
No, Huawei makes the 6P, not the 5X. LG makes the 5X.
Oh, yeah, so it's LG.
LG kept the 5.
The Nexus 5X was like trying to be fan service to the Nexus 5 owners, and it's like, oh wait a sec, but it has performance issues. Oh, and oh, by the way, it feels hollow. And oh, by the way,
it's actually no upgrade.
Yeah. By the way, LG, if you would like to send me a Nexus 5X to review, I would happily review it. I'm just saying at this point, what I hear,
prove to us it's not crap.
Yeah. From what I hear, Android N does a lot for it, but it shouldn't take experimental software to make a device worth buying.
Oh God, no. I'm kind of drawn to the 6P at the minute.
My problem is it's so big, and
no, that doesn't bother me. I want big. It was the 6P, or I was looking at the 6 or the 6P, and I was like, well, I was talking to Mark after the last podcast, and it was like, for a little bit more, I can have N and the next build.
I mean, like, look, if you're going between those two, you get the 6P every time.
Yes.
Oh God, yeah.
But
and it's not that
it's just so big. I mean, I kind of look at it like as a friend of mine at at March of the Droids. and he has the 6P, and it's like,
It's
I look at it,
monstrous.
and I just think, oh my god, that's like the rudder off the Titanic. It's just
Like,
huge.
put it this way, I'm the person that uses a Moto G, the new one, which is 5 inches, and I look at my 4.7-inch Idol 3, and I'm like, I could go back to that.
4
Like
points.
that slight screen difference makes an infinite amount of difference to me personally.
Yeah.
But anyway, should we just move on? Because clearly none of us give a shit about the new iPhone.
Just before we move on, I wanna speak about someone just said about the 6 being huge. There is a tutor at the college where I am a student and where I also work. There is a tutor that has the Midnight Blue Nexus 6. That is a dwarf. A dwarf with a Nexus 6. It is
That's
the
just-
I just had a mental picture.
It is the best. It is essentially like this. It's great. I love it.
I bet you give him a load of stick every time you answer a phone call, don't you?
No, he Bluetooth headsets. He doesn't take phone calls. It's too.
Well, because he knows he's made a
It's too
mistake and it's
ridiculous,
slightly
yeah.
too big. I better
Um,
put a Bluetooth headset on just for a phone call.
Yeah, I'd rather look like a dick than like try and drop my phone.
Yeah, to be honest, I think phones that size. What was the one that
HTC
there
did
was-
it. The
no,
one
there
Max.
was- somebody did. I think it was a 7-inch that you could use for phones, and it did it not
Huawei.
come with like a little Bluetooth headset that kind
Oh,
of slotted in.
No, it was the Zenfone. No, the fucking
So
pad
the
phone.
HP
It was the
yeah.
first pad phone went into the tablet, which had a keyboard, but the stylus had a Bluetooth headset in the stylus.
Yeah.
Huawei made a. They tried to make
Activity
a-
tracker.
No, it wasn't an activity. It was a tablet, but it was a phone. It had
Oh,
a
they
7-inch
do it all the time though.
There was
Huawei's just
yeah,
crazy.
They did. Was it no? I think it was Acer or Asus that had the pad phone and the phone pad.
Yeah, they were two
That didn't
two very
get
separate
confusing.
things.
Yes, but it's like that didn't get confusing at all.
Yeah. So moving on, like we said we would. Microsoft broke its Windows 10 upgrade promise. And
Surprise.
apparently people are surprised. Yeah. So for people that are wondering what this means, Microsoft for the longest time said that any device that was capable of running Windows 8 or Windows Phone 8 would get a Windows 10 mobile upgrade. They've reneged quite hard. Any 512 meg device is gone, and it's
Are
a
you
very
surprised?
limited subset of devices that are actually getting it, and devices that were specifically sold up until like a few weeks ago, saying Windows 10 upgrade coming, are like not
Yeah,
getting it.
and some of these are quite curious and going to be highly confusing. The one that stands out is I, for a brief period, bought a Lumia 635.
Mhm.
The normal version of the Lumia 635, which was, I think, the 4G version of the 630, otherwise the same device, they had 512 mega RAM. However, they also, at the later stages of its life, issued 1 gigabyte RAM version of it. But there isn't, if you just look at the handset, there isn't anything on the front that says, hey, this has 512 and this has 1 gig. So I think an awful lot of people that are going to be buying these devices, because they were pretty cheap, simply won't realize what version they have.
I mean, I for one was interested on getting Windows 10 Mobile on my Lumia 925, and it's not getting it now, and I kind of wish I tried the preview program at this point, but I can't. It's too late. I'd never use it, but it would be nice to try it more than anything else. But I don't know where people are surprised, seeing as Microsoft has done this time and time again. Microsoft should pretty much just give up on phones. That's my opinion. Like I said, I liked Windows Mobile and I liked Windows Phone a lot. Like I liked it a lot. I went and bought a Lumia 800 with my own cash. But they've taken the wrong turn so many times.
It's just I've played with numerous Lumia devices. And my reaction has always been, nice build, nice change in software, and then it gets to the App Store and it's like, yeah, there's a reason I've not brought one of these yet. I'm not buying one now.
I mean, there is an app gap, but that's not a lie. And I think the major issue is there's no Google support.
Yes, it's all these third-party in-browser
the
things.
biggest problem with it is that it forces you to. Its default is using Bing, and
but it's like there's no. It's like no.
Americans...
Like a lot of people don't even realize that Google owns YouTube. So when they realize the phone doesn't have an actual YouTube app, they're like, oh, that's weird, and it's like, oh, I can't Google it. I have to Bing it, and it's like, oh, I can't do.
I think that's the bigger issue. I mean, I know lots of Americans that say Bing is fine.
It's not fine in the UK.
Yeah, it may be great in America where it ties into various things and it actually works, but here, it's just shit. I mean, there's no way to be nice about it. It's just absolutely rubbish and useless. And of course, because Cortana automatically uses Bing, and you can't make it use Google, it makes Cortana completely useless.
Unless you want to ask it to like do impressions of stuff, and then that's actually really good. Anytime you ask it to do anything like computational, and it has to go out somewhere else, it falls flat.
Yeah, because it tries to Bing things, and then it just fails because Bing is crap.
Bing does not have the answer.
To be honest, that's also how I feel about Siri a lot of the time. But
Siri makes a better effort, though.
Siri makes a better effort. It's more personality-based.
Yes.
But still, I don't think it... every time I use Siri, I still get a lot of, I don't know what that means. Do you want me to search the internet for you? Like, whereas...
Yeah,
I mean,
whereas
Google now doesn't try... Whereas Google doesn't try and be as personable, but... Every time I use Google Voice Search in Google Now, I get something I want. Every time.
Yes.
Although, you know, I have to say, we've done it again. We've essentially had a topic, and within seconds of talking about it, completely moved on. So I take it none of us actually really care that much about, or are very surprised that Microsoft has done this.
No, I'm not surprised in the slightest. Like I said, Microsoft has already done this. Like on its previous phone platform, and
the ship sailed, as they say.
And specifically said they wouldn't do it again. Like,
well, they do seem to like burning platforms and going, no,
burning
not
platforms,
supporting.
burning bridges, like literally just burning anything. They are the people that want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, part of me feels as though there's a bit of internal Microsoft politics going on here, because for one, I'm not entirely sure as to why it couldn't work on 5.12, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but lots of the beta builds did work fine.
Oh, yeah, no, like I was saying, like the 925, although it has a gig, was in the trial program and isn't in this official program. And there was a lot of people using, like, Lumia, I think it's 520s. Was that really cheap one?
Yes, yeah. The 520 was
a load of people using 520s. A load of people using 520s, which had 512 meg RAM.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's I don't quite know where this has come from. I mean, I don't recall seeing lots of people with a 512 device running the preview saying, "This is terrible. It doesn't work. It's crap. Microsoft, need to fix this." So why all of a sudden? Like, why?
The only device I ever saw that with was people that use the Lumia 1020, which has strikingly similar hardware to the 920, the 925. The only difference being that humongous camera. But for some reason, the 1020 just ran like a dog with Windows 10 Mobile.
Well.
But like you said, none of us really seem to care all that much. Because none of us are really surprised all that much. It's Microsoft being Microsoft, unfortunately. Funnily enough, we all use Windows as well. Just none of us use Windows Phone. Because unlike Windows Phone, Windows on the desktop isn't a pile of wank. So moving on.
This one makes me chuckle.
Yeah. Do you remember Google Glass? I actually still really want a Google Glass, even though I'd like never use
Glass
it.
hole.
But I am such a glass hole. There are so many times where I think to myself, man, if I could just take a photo of this with glass, and I like still to this day, there is like so many times I was like, if I could just take a photo of this from like eye level, it would be great.
I tell you where I have the thought for it.
On your bike?
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, you don't need a glass for that. You need the Sony Eye.
Yeah.
We are all the worst people in the world right now.
Would it not be easy just to saying, "Okay, Google, record that," or whatever the fucking whatever the voice command is?
It'd be easier if they could like add do it to a speedometer. So if you go more than walking speed, automatically record. That'd be like super cool.
No, because I'm quite often getting road rage at low speed anyway, so.
Even low speed is higher than walking speed, so.
Yes, but I'd still get mouthy with someone.
Anyway, so Google Glass kind of crashed and burned quite spectacularly, actually. But there was a redesigned version for enterprise type use, and some wanker has gone and sold it to a San Francisco pawn shop, and that's PAWN, not PORN. And the only major differences that I can see externally, I know there are some internal differences. Externally, there are hinges, so you can now fold it up, whereas the old glass was very rigid. Now you can fold each arm. For those of you on the audio-only version, I folded my glasses to simulate folding arms. It's changed the charger from micro USB to a magnetic MagSafe style charger. The internals have changed. It's a more efficient processor because the old Google Glass was using an old TI OMAP chip from the Galaxy Nexus. The old glass was essentially a Galaxy Nexus, which is why it had like a 2-hour battery life.
Do you know how much it was listed on eBay for?
I think it's up to it. Last time I checked, it was like $8,000.
No, it says it was taken down due to an error in the listing.
Bullshit. Google wanted their prototype.
Yeah, Google, yes. Yeah. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but when Google sold these out, were they not essentially under some crazy license where technically it wasn't yours, it was still Google's, you hadn't bought it, you had just bought like a perpetual license to use it?
Yeah, the starting bid on it was $300.
Yeah, kind of like when that person asked Bill Gates to sign his copy of Windows, and he's like, no, it's my Windows, it's your copy of Windows. Yeah, you don't own Glass, you kind of owned a right to use it more than anything else, but you couldn't sell it. You weren't supposed to sell it on. They could, if you sold it on, they were allowed to blacklist the hardware without any ramifications.
Yeah, which to be fair, I don't really have a problem as it's it's a dev preview. It's not a product that they're releasing to the public.
Like I said, I would happily own a pair of these because I find so many times where I'm like, oh, if only I could just take a photo of this. Because it's like, okay, Glass, take a photo. All right, Glass, share that to Instagram. I haven't had to touch anything.
Fuck off, you're annoying me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I am the worst person in the world, but that's fine.
There's quite a few times I've been riding. It's been there's been a really nice picture in front of me, like sun, or there's been a really nice expensive car come the other way, and I've not been able to take a picture because. Fuck it, who's going to try and hold the throttle?
Because you can't balance, Chris. You've not got them skills.
Don't try to be down with the kids, innit?
I am actually a 90-year-old man. I just have a really good skincare routine.
No, but to try and reach over, hold it, then try and zip my pocket down, pull the phone out, and then try and activate it with a glove.
I was at work today. For those of you that don't know, I'm a teaching assistant in a college. I was at work the other day, and I was in the staff room, and a tutor who is late 20s, early 30s, we were speaking, and she was like, oh my god, how old are you? And I was like, no. And she's like, you're a 90-year-old man in a 21-year-old's body, which is actually pretty fair. So, moving on before we get on another tangent that we really don't need to go down. DxOMark, the people that kind of test cameras in very analytical fashion.
Can we quit with the big words?
Huh?
Can we quit with the big words? I've noticed we've used about 3 or 4 of them in the space of half an hour.
No, I'm just gonna carry on doing it. I'm like, why not?
Just big words I don't understand.
I've been having to write about legislation and stuff all day. I'm gonna use all the big words I want, Christopher. So DxOMark are the people that tend to test cameras in very analytical fashion, and they just said the S7 Edge just knocks it out of the park. Yep.
Looks nice. As a phone, I'm kind of interested, but can somebody lend me a small loan for $1 million, and I'll buy it?
Yeah, although can I just vaguely point out when you're saying knocked it out of the park, just to clarify, from what I'm reading, they were saying that the S6 Edge Plus and the Z5, which were jointly ranked as first, scored 87 points. The S7 Edge scores a whopping 88 points.
I mean, yeah, like overall, but I mean, most things in the DxOMark are like points apart anyway. But
yeah.
They earn really good points in the autofocus section, which is 94 points. Have you guys seen like video of the S7 when it autofocuses?
No.
I can't say.
It's fucking insane. Like anything else looks slow. MKBHD has a really good video on the camera. It's like Samsung and Sony, because there are 2 sensors, did really well on this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone can do it down. It's by what they've said, it is the best camera in a phone. So, yeah. But however, I kind of think if you're really that caring so much, just buy a camera. Yeah, buy a camera.
Yeah. But everything I've seen says the autofocus is fucking insane. But also the fact that it has a really wide aperture, it has an f1.7, means you can get those really shallow depth of field shots. So if you want to do the artistic, I'm holding a glass over something and the background is out of focus, it's really good at that. So if you are that grade of terrible person, you'll love this phone.
Yeah, but again, I kind of feel that anyone who's trying to do these things, they're just buying a real camera.
Yeah, but you can't post to Instagram easily on a real camera, Mark.
Okay,
I need to get my interaction with the millennials.
Okay.
It's not Gen X's, was it? Gen Y?
Gen Y.
Yeah, Gen Y. God, I'm such an old person. Sorry, Chris, what was that?
I'll tell you what I've not seen out in the wild for a while. One of them Samsung Galaxy cameras.
Oh, I saw one around here the other day. Where was I? This is weird. I was in Jessop's. Oh, look what Mark's got.
I've just thought, I've not seen one in a while, because you were saying about Instagram and how easy it is for photos. I was like, basically, we need that camera back again.
Yes, however, as if you take a look at the photos that were uploaded, the only ones that I actually specifically went through all and looked at, the ones with Steve Klondike. But I confess it wasn't me that was taking, it was Sophie, because I was standing behind Craig's camera, and every single one of them is blurry and shit.
I did have a lot.
Is that operator error or the camera?
Is that the camera you normally use for all your photos?
Yes. Yeah, but on the whole, as cameras go, I don't think it's a really very good camera.
Fair enough.
I just thought the concept was there.
But it automatically uploads to Dropbox, which is kind of really what I wanted.
I mean, you can do that really weird thing with like an iFi card and then a certain folder. You can have like Dropbox linked to your Windows in a certain like directory folder and do it that way. It's super weird. If the camera do it itself, it's just so good.
Yeah, and if you want Instagram on it, just install it because it just runs Android.
And
Yeah,
then
if you want to use
you
it
have the
for
really
WhatsApp.
shitty compression that Android for Instagram for Android does.
Yes, you could do that, and so you can install whatever Android camera apps you want. I have about 5 or 6 installed. You know, if you want to tweet photos directly, again, really nice and easy. I mean, the functionality, I really like the functionality that Android brings to it. This is why it was bought. But as cameras go, Samsung, I'm sorry, it kind of sucks.
Oh, it was just a thought of that they had the concept, and that's one thing that they had. They just didn't really get too much of the hardware in the lower price to go with it.
I think fundamentally that Samsung didn't know what they were doing with it. I mean, it's like, look at the size of the screen on this.
It's a
It's
4.8
ridiculous.
inch display, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, why the hell does it need that big? To be honest, the screen is so big, it's actually an inconvenience because there is literally nowhere on the back you
I
can touch
did
it.
notice there was no grip
You
point.
have to hold it round the sides. And of course, the first place you want to do is put your fingers there, which covers where the flash comes out.
So you just move your finger
So
around.
there's just nowhere to hold it. You have to have it on a tripod like all times for it to be useful.
You basically have to kind of hold it like that.
Nope, that's out.
And it's just, so I think this would have been a much better device if Samsung had chucked on some tiny little, maybe like 2.8-inch screen,
Standard.
and actually had, you know, somewhere you could just hold the bloody thing.
3-inch would have probably been about the. What's the word I'm looking for? Sweet spot. That's 2 words.
The really annoying thing, the thing I hate about cameras is, this is just going on a bit of a tangent. This is my camera, the Samsung WV100. The screens on the back are measured in like dots. So they'll say like, oh, it's got 330,000 dots, and I'm like, bitch, tell me the resolution. Like, I want the actual resolution. Don't tell me.
They probably
don't tell me
don't
the
want,
dot
because if
count.
it's got 300,000, that's like 0.3 megapixels.
Yeah.
That's why they don't say that.
So,
Speaking of cameras, so this fabulous Galaxy S Edge with the super camera, so they actually have a dedicated camera button.
No.
But the volume up or down, one of two, functions as a shutter button.
So they not function as zoom.
I mean, I think you can change it, but
There's, in a couple of phones, I've noticed there was one I had in hand for some reason, and there was an option to change it.
I mean, the last phone I tested with a physical camera button was the Z5 Compact, and the button was like actually so mushy that it induced shake when I tried to use it, rather than the on-screen button.
Phone I had.
Which
that
is
actually had a button.
Which is insane. I never thought I'd say that having the camera button would be a bad thing, and it's still really useful for launching the camera, but like physically taking the photo, like actuating the button used so much force it required it induced shake in the photo.
You say it's easier to like activate the camera. Just kind of dock it in right at the end of your home screen, and then you always have it to hand.
Or buy a Motorola phone and do that.
Then you'd have to buy a Motorola phone.
There's nothing wrong with Motorola phones, Chris. They are...
No, I did have someone that had the Moto E. I won't say Moto E. I think it might have been Moto G 4G.
That's what Mark's got, I think.
Yep, I've got one of them.
He's got one somewhere.
Yep.
Let's get the Box O phones.
Box.
The box of phones. I like that.
It's not old phones. This is the box I had for March to the Droid. So not everything.
It's the Box O phones.
And it has no dedicated camera button.
Yeah, no, he had that because whatever Sony phone he was using, somehow he broke the SIM contacts in it.
Oh, I can tell you how he did it. Because the fucking SIM tray Sony used is like paper thin.
He hadn't taken the SIM card out since he had it. So I can't understand it, but he's having to use, and I would so hate to be him right now, but he has to carry the Moto for his SIM card. So he'll call and text off the Moto, and he has he carries whatever other phone he has as a music player.
Yeah, no, but that's basically what my sister did. She had her phone that she used as her phone and her, dicking around on Facebook device, and she had her old Sensation XE, and that's what she used as her MP3 player.
See, the thing is, he doesn't use his phone that much. All that was on there was he used a standard music app. He used every app that was standard. He used, and he just installed Facebook Messenger and Facebook.
I mean, I can't see it being too long before Apple makes like an LTE version of like the iPod Touch, which uses like an embedded SIM, so you can't replace it, and it just like you go into the settings and sign up to a network, but it's data only, no voice calls, and so just like for like Apple Music.
Yeah, I don't think
I can easily see that happening to like try and reinvigorate iPod sales.
Yeah, what they want to do it is in the same way that the Kindle introduced 3G.
Yeah.
You paid the extra, and that 3G connection was yours.
The difference is
the book is like
data.
kilobytes.
Yeah. I mean, I bought one of those Kindles back when it had the free worldwide 3G, and you could use the internet on it, and I thought, wow, awesome. It was so painful to use.
It got better as time went on.
I mean, I think people forget like kilobits per second can still be considered 3G.
Books, just text are tiny.
Yeah,
they're tiny.
But I think it's T-Mobile US says you can get like free roaming on 3G, and it's like limited to like 250 kilobits per second or something like that, which is still technically 3G.
Yeah, but no, if they could do something like that, that would be more compelling. Yeah. Of course, they'd be locking it in for Apple Music. If they did it, they'd lock it into Apple Music only, so it wouldn't be a loss of sort for them. But the idea, but who's going to put a SIM card in an iPod for a kid to use Apple Music?
I mean, like I said, it's one of those things that if you put
if you capped it,
you buy this iPod Touch, yeah. You take it out, you sign into the stuff, you go into the settings, you set up the Apple SIM or the virtual Apple SIM with EE, and you can say it has 2 gigs of data, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't use over that. That kid then has Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, iMessage, WhatsApp. It still have a phone number. So yeah, like WhatsApp. It opens up all of these things. And I know a lot of people that would buy a mobile connected iPod Touch.
I wouldn't in the same way I probably wouldn't buy a SIM version of an iPad. That iPad Air 2 did have a SIM card in it. Well, considering Vodafone.
Yeah, I don't see Apple doing it. I'm sorry.
They'll keep the iPads.
Apple, if you want a connected iPod Touch, you buy an iPhone and you pay 3 times as much. That's what they want you to do. They do not want to increase iPod Touch sales, because you look at the price of an iPod Touch compared with the equivalent capacity iPhone, which for all intents are basically the same things apart from the modem. The LTE and 3G modems inside. The price discrepancy is huge.
I mean, I don't know what the current one is, but the iPod Touch is a generation or 2 behind on the CPU side, isn't it?
For a iPod Touch, is about 160 quid for 16 gig, 200 for 32, 249 for 64. And £329 for 128 gig.
Yeah, compare that with any of these phones.
First off, if you go to apple.com/UK, it doesn't actually say iPod anymore. It says Mac, iPad, iPhone, Watch, TV, Music, and support. So
I just googled iPod.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's weird that something that was once such a staple of their business now doesn't even.
Back in the day, everybody had an iPod Touch. I can remember my 4th gen.
Oh wait,
iPod
shit! No, this doesn't lead to iPods. This is for Apple Music.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure about. Obviously, there was no. I didn't see a mention of
Yeah,
iPod
So
I mean,
as
how in the
well.
shit do I buy an iPod then?
well, they don't want you to buy one. I mean, literally, they don't want you to.
Yeah.
Because part of the issue is the mindset, and partly because there's a lot of network subsidies. People are happy to buy a phone that is several £100s, partly because the network hugely subsidises that, and obscures where the cost is. Whereas people would not be willing to pay that for what they view as just an MP3 player.
I can't remember the last time I even used an MP3 player.
I used one
mean-
the other day. I'm not saying like I'm just that hipster. I use it. No, I found one of the old iPod Nanos. You know, the square one with the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found one of those upstairs, and I was like, huh.
Is that
Well,
the
I've got
square one with the
one around
square
somewhere.
screen on it?
Yeah, that you can like
Is
pinch
it?
to turn
Scroll
it
wheel.
around.
Oh right. Can I possibly borrow that at some point?
Yeah, it has a battery life of about like 3 minutes, and it's
Oh,
got my
that's
name
fine.
engraved on the back.
Because I have a little speaker thing, which actually I think might be reasonably close to home.
Oh, okay.
Then push it out.
It's one generation behind on the A8, not the A9.
Yeah, it's doing well sitting there, but then it's not something Apple's pushing.
Yeah.
I have this little tiny speaker that has a little kind of dock thing at the side.
Uh-huh.
And
And is it
one of those
it's a 30-pin one?
no, it's a headphone jack.
Oh, okay.
So literally, you just plug it in, and it sits effectively at the side, and it turns it into sort of like a super tiny little stereo.
Well, that's kind of
And yeah, I always kind of wanted to play around with it, but I didn't know anyone that actually had one of the silly square nanos.
Yeah,
I've got a
I am one of those
shuffle
people.
somewhere.
Yeah, see, everybody I knew had larger devices.
I mean, I had a classic, but I broke it, so I bought this to replace it.
Why would you
Also,
wanted a classic?
I wish I didn't, because those fucking things go for so much money now.
And the storage in them was stupidly high as well.
Maybe it was 180 gigs. Like, let's not get ridiculous.
The highest, but that was only the 6th gen one.
Huh?
The 6th gen one wasn't the really good one. The good one you wanted is the 5th gen, and that came in either 60 or 80, and it also came in a 30 version. But
I mean, you can take it apart though, and you can get was it
But
the mini hard drive to like compact flash adapters?
oh yes, a lot
Yeah.
of people do that, but it's the 5th gen iPod.
Yeah.
The one before they started calling them classics.
Yeah.
The 6th gen was the one first called classic. Before that, it was just
The
iPod.
They don't even sell them on the website anymore.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
They
Sad.
dropped them like 2 years ago. So I don't know how we talked that long about something not even on the fucking rundown.
Yeah.
Next bit.
Next bit. When they were doing their Kickstarter, later on in the Kickstarter, they said, "Hey, look, we're going to make a CDMA version." And actually, I'm just going to just move my microphone for a second. Yeah, they said we're going to create a CDMA version for Verizon and Sprint, and they've dropped it.
Oh, you surprised? I forgot all
Really?
about Sprint,
So
actually.
ultra niche product has the company has finally learned that when you have, shall we support Planet Earth or 2 American networks?
Yeah. See,
And the thing is, those 2 American networks would need 2 separate certified products because they don't even use the same bands.
Yeah.
see,
I mean, it's just, I don't understand why American companies that make phones even bother looking at CDMA because, frankly,
At this
apart
point,
from Verizon, it's like.
and the only reason they do that is because most of them still use Qualcomm, and Qualcomm was very important in the initial CDMA specification. So that Qualcomm has a lot of the.
Yeah,
CDMA
but the thing is, I still find it somewhat disturbing that these companies are looking at the, potential markets for their devices, and they're not coming up and going, the potential user base for a CDMA version is this size. The potential version for making standard GSM 3G and LTE versions is this much. how do they not? How badly do you have to be at your job in creating products to not pick up
Well,
on this?
it's not that they are bad at their job, but the thing they think of is, look, can we deal with the negative press saying we don't work with Verizon? And then
Yes.
they say like, shit, because they're the biggest carrier in the States, we should probably try and get a version that works with them,
Yeah,
even
but
if it
this
is
is the
only one
problem.
country in the world.
But this is the problem. A lot of these American companies are so incredibly US-centric. That's the only market I think they actually pay any attention to. And they ignore the fact that if you just made a nice standard GSM version, it would work essentially on pretty much everywhere on Earth.
And apart from the fact, a lot of them still work on Verizon, because the LTE that Verizon use, the bands they have to use, has to be open. It was mandated by the FCC, so you can buy like an extra 6p, drop a Verizon SIM card in it, and it'll work.
The LTE bands, yes, because that is standard, as in what everyone else in the world uses.
And
it's just their 2 and 3G connections.
Yeah, and if you've got a new enough Android phone, it does VoIP and SIP and stuff. So
one thing I will say is credit where credit's due. Not only are they going to offer a free refund on everyone that ordered the CDMA model, they're also going to give you a 25% discount on the GSM model.
I mean, yeah, but if you've already got one, why do you need a 25% off? Whatever. I mean,
yeah, but it's just a nice little gesture.
If you bought the CDMA version, you bought the CDMA version because you're locked to a CDMA carrier. Them saying, look, we'll give you a full refund and then a quarter off for a GSM model isn't going to help you because you won't use it because you want the CDMA model.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know that they're giving something besides the refund.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I think we have to say it once again. If you want nice things, you don't go to Verizon.
Or Verizon Mobile.
I mean, pretty much.
I hear for like Fios, is it okay?
Verizon Wireless, fine. You don't go to Verizon Wireless for anything good.
Yeah, Fios, however, I'm hearing kind of great stuff about.
Yeah, if you live in the very limited markets where you can get Fios.
Oh, yes.
So, I want to sound surprised, but they essentially said, look, we were too bullish. We thought we could do it because we all have so much expertise, and we couldn't.
I think they just eventually noticed that what it was going to cost them to produce another version of the device versus the potential sales that they could accrue.
I mean, they said the hardware is identical between the two. It's the certification process for the Verizon model is what was like knocking them back, because it's a reprogrammable modem. Because again, Qualcomm makes like a modem that does every single band. It was the carrier testing, and it was the specially Verizon CDMA certification is what like knocked them back like so much. It would have cost them far too much.
To be honest, I think given the people that are going to be after this device, they're so niche, I don't think they care.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've apparently lost Chris. The next one, Pope Francis, is probably one of the coolest popes in a long time. Very down to earth, very like up to date on a lot of things. Is now on Instagram. Instapope, Popestagram. And I made a joke saying we're going to get 15-second masses. But it's actually kind of cool. And I'm not going to lie to you, I have followed the Pope on Instagram. It's kind of cool that the Pope is on Instagram. The Pope is on Twitter @Pontifex.
Okay, now I would say I would agree with you if this is actually the Pope on Instagram.
Yes.
And the Pope has his phone, and he posts from his phone whenever he's randomly snapping shit around the Vatican. Do you
reckon the Pope is ever in the loo at the Vatican on his phone? He's just like, man, all these Instagram models, I can't even.
Yeah, I mean, if it was him himself, I could see that kind of being cool. However, it's not going to be him. It's going to be like every other, head of state account.
Yeah.
It's going to be, run by half a dozen different people, and it's all going to be curated and filtered, and it's just going to be boring. But if it had been himself, tweeting Instagrams from inside the Pope Mobile, yeah, that would be great. But I just no.
There is an Instagram video of the Pope. If you're wondering, it is at Franciscus, Franciscus. That is a live video of the Pope, and it's quite great. But all the other photos are kind of like, they're almost like stock inspirational photos. That's kind of the level they're at. And I didn't really have much to say about this apart from, hey, look, the Pope's on Instagram. The only way this could have been funny to me is if the Pope had joined Snapchat, and then I would have actually died. Mark, do you want to speak about the next one, or the next two, seeing as you're the one that joined them in?
Oh, okay, right, with the next one. Yeah, right, next one we had, it was a story from a couple of weeks ago, because I kind of forgot to add it in. Mobile handset maker Doro. And if you don't know who they are the company that basically make granny phones. They make the phones. Most of them are dumb phones with the great big buttons, and they often have like a big red emergency, call your next of kin button.
Like a torch button, like a physical button to do torch and stuff.
Yeah, usually really basic devices. They essentially are aimed at people who would have, grannies, people who would have either sort of physical or eyesight problems using a normal device, because they simply don't have the manual dexterity. So vaguely popular with certain disabled users, just because, they are extremely basic. They are big button, that's what they're meant for. Well, the chap who runs Doro has essentially gone on a little mini rant to networks and to UK retailers in particular, saying basically, you're all sons of bitches and you aren't properly pushing our products. You're essentially only interested in 15 to 25-year-olds, and you need to learn that the mobile market is actually a damn sight bigger than that, and the only untapped market still in mobile world is people at the tail end of life, shall we say.
Tail end of life?
Yeah, people who are...
magnificent. I have never heard that before. Well done, Mark.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's to see, well, what do people think? Because, in fairness to the chap, it's not really a market segment I think about. Anytime you see any kind of promotional materials from any network or handset manufacturers, they are all about the young, pretty people.
They're all about the millennials.
Yep, and Doro is about people who were born in the 20s and 30s. So, yeah, what do you... Well, seeing as it's only you left, what do you think?
I mean, have you used one of these Doro phones? Because I've used their Android phone when I worked in a phone shop. And they're not great.
But is that they're not great for you because you are a power user and you want all these controls and you want the customization? Would this be great for you if instead of you, being 21 in a, if you actually were 90, how well do you think you might get on with it?
I think I might fare a bit better with it, but again, all the models they're shipping are kind of small. They have big icons on the screen, but that doesn't change the fact that the actual screens themselves are kind of small. And I kind of feel that putting a 5.5-inch screen on one of them and still having everything scaled up this fucking large would, I would love to give my nan like a Galaxy Mega in like simple mode, because she'd finally be able to see it. Like, my nan uses a Moto E, a first generation Moto E, and she's for what it is, it works really well for her. But I think she'd use it a hell of a lot more if
So, well, to go from what he's saying about retailers not pushing, do you think, your gran and people would be more inclined to go into a shop if they had products that were going to be more aimed at them? If Carrefour Warehouse had a section that, was dedicated to people that, not just necessarily elderly, but, people with maybe eyesight problems, manual dexterity problems. Yeah, if they could actually go into a shop and see the device, play with it, and go, oh, actually, I can use this. Would that, you think, encourage sales?
I think it would definitely help. I mean, like that last thing you said is I can play with it in store is a big thing. I know a lot of older people, even like people not that much older than me, that will refuse to buy something unless they can try it first. And a lot of them don't buy online because, well, what if I don't like it? And I was like, well, it's Amazon. The returns process is simple. But no. It's simple if I can try it first. So going into, again, let's say Carphone Warehouse. Going into Carphone Warehouse, having staff trained properly about the devices, rather than like them coming in the morning and say, yo.
Okay, when you say staff trained properly, do you mean Carphone Warehouse staff, or do you mean Doro needs to get their own person employed and in those stores?
Either or at this point, because like again, I've worked in a retailer that stocked Doro phones, and we were pretty much told those are for old people, like, and that is it. Like, not a lot more. We were barely told any like of the positives and negatives. Like, a lot of Doro phones actually come with a charging dock, because trying to plug like a phone in at night would be quite difficult for someone with limited mobility. Putting in a dock is a simple, like you put it down and it charges because it has magnetic induction charging. Like stuff like that, we weren't told about it. We had to open up the fucking devices and take a hit for that first box. If the staff were properly informed, it would make a lot of difference.
Doro phones are brilliant. I've got a grandparent who would, if he still could, be using a Nokia brick. He killed it. He like blew up the battery in it, and he couldn't be asked to get a new one. And
That's impressive.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how he did it. But he went through various phones on his contract, and he picked up a Doro, and he was like, "Why didn't I buy one sooner?" He couldn't. He could use a phone, but a touchscreen and him was like a bull in a china shop. I'll put it that way. And he went to a Doro, and he basically would not buy anything else. And I've had a.
Can I chip in? When you say that he got this, did he just like buy it online, or was this because he saw one in a shop and could see it and touch it?
This was mainly due to my other grandparents having one, but he did go to a shop and try one before he purchased it. My other set of grandparents both had one, and then they decided that they, for some reason, wanted something different, and they got the. Don't quote me on the brand. Don't quote me on what it was. It was basically a skinned up Android, I want to say 4.4 phone, and I ended up setting them both up for some reason, and they are pretty good, and I can't fault them.
I mean, like I said, whilst you were out of here, Chris, I used to work in a phone shop. We had the Doro phones. We had the Doro Android phone. I hated that thing. But again, Mark was saying, is it bad for me as physically a 21-year-old, no matter how old I might mentally?
Capable eyes, capable fingers. You can
capable eyes. You don't know me, Mark.
I mean, you were saying, simple like being able to plug in a charger. I mean, that was something that I really sort of never thought. But if you have manual dexterity problems, I could see that being a real problem for you.
Yeah. Again, especially as micro USB is really small, it can only go in one way.
Unless you buy a reversible micro USB cable. Oh, it's most old people.
Like, man, I don't have any mobility problems, and if it's like if I'm really tired, I will have trouble plugging that fucking cable in, like just because of like the amount of insertion force it needs.
Insert joke there.
I'm so tired, guys. I'm the one that makes these jokes.
I know you're slacking.
Honestly, if I could have been asleep like 3 hours ago, I would have been asleep. So,
No,
Mark,
Doro does seem like they're slowly bringing their shit together.
who, Doro?
Doro, yes, they're making better things. And I was listening. I walked into Tesco's a couple of last month, and there was a guy. He was on a mobility scooter. He had in his hand and in his possession a BlackBerry 8520.
Nice.
I was like, wow, man, you're really digging some old stuff there.
I have one of those upstairs, and this can tell you how old it is, people. I have an electric blue fascia on there with a ruby red keyboard and a silver screen.
Nice.
That shows you like just how far back it was when like modding your phone that way was cool.
Yep. So he's got this phone, and he's talking to the chap in the phone shop, and he's saying, "I'm looking." He's on a pay month. He's on a pay monthly, so it just automatically comes out his bank account. He went, "This shit." He went, "What I'm getting is great. I'm like the texts, the minutes. I think he had like 500 meg of data, which he never bloody used." And he was like, "It's great. The phone's okay." I like that one, Mark. It was never called, just common.
Oh, thanks, guys.
I saw that.
At least I typed it privately.
No, you posted it in the common chat, just like,
Yeah,
you just didn't say it out
only
loud.
you could read that, so.
Yeah, but no, he was saying like the phone is great. He was saying it was great. I was like, yeah, right. And he was going on. He wanted something new, and the chap in the phone shop was trying to send like a Moto E, a Moto G, and I was just like, nah, you want a Doro. And the temptation not to say anything was like saying to this chap, look, you want a Doro? I wish I had. He didn't take anything in the end, but I'd love to know what he ended up with. But I know, like you were saying, they're not pushed. And this chap was the one that broke the words in phone shop. He was like the perfect customer for any Doro phone. And the flip one with like the old numeric keypad, that would have been straight up his alley.
By the way, guys, since we've been there, the last like 5 minutes or so, I've switched from my Moto G to my Idol 3 because I just wanted that smaller screen again.
Yeah,
So.
but he was not, and it's a bit that found weird. He was not pushing the Doro, and I was like, Doro. I really wish I did say something, but he didn't pick anything up in the end.
Like I said, a lot of the time, like the staff aren't even like
known to them. I only know of Doro because it's what my grandparents were picking.
I mean, this is partly what the Doro chap was saying, that, you know, lots of the retailers, particularly the people that work in the retailers, they're all, you know, 20-somethings.
They have no iPhones.
Yeah, they have an interest in, you know, iPhones, the Galaxy S7s, you know, the nice, fancy things. They do not have an interest themselves in the Doro phones.
I didn't.
They just
and I kind of do now. And I've never owned a Doro. I've just been tossed one and says, my grandparents go, oh, it's doing such and such. I want this, I want that. Can you do it? It's like, it chuck you over the phone and the job done. And it is a nice feeling to know that you've got an old person or senior citizen.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't let them hear you call them old people, Chris.
I call them coffin dodgers.
That is a very easy way to get out of the will.
Coffin dodgers.
That is an even quicker way to get out of the fucking will.
Not with my family, it's not that seen as socially accepted.
No, in my house, it's a very in-joke to just say out of the will. So, yeah.
Yeah, but no, senior citizens is the correct terminology. If you want to be politically correct, I can use big words.
I am
Two,
just not very politically correct, despite
no,
taking
neither am
equality
I.
and diversity
I'm not
classes.
going to say what my conversation was at work. That was very politically out. But it's a nice feeling to know that that there's a senior citizen in the 21st century.
Yeah.
And it's not, but using the standard phones that you, Mark, Craig, MKVHD, TLD, all of us use. It's something that's been designed, has a very nice skin on, and is simple to understand.
And I think that's important. I think, like I said, like purpose-built things have existed for time immemorial because purpose-built things, strangely enough, work well for the things they're built for.
Yes.
And if you build something for someone,
yeah, I've just had the idea suddenly of contacting Doro and see if they would be kind enough to lend us a review unit because
I'd love to like get a Doro to review and give it to my nan for like a week or two.
or my grandparents own Doros.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, for some, because again, you or if I said my nan owns a Moto a Moto E, and if we got like the Doro Android phone in, and I'd set up a SIM card in the Doro, and then because pretty much the only reason she has a Moto E is for WhatsApp.
Yes.
So
that's what a lot of people have.
If I could like give it to her and then like ask for like a daily report type thing. Or like at the end of the week, like ask her thoughts on it, and then just combine that into a review. That'd be great, actually. That's like that's not something you see often.
Yeah, that was like obviously they've had these Doro Android phones for
a little while now.
2 months they've owned theirs, and they love them. My grandma was thinking about changing her plan back to get 500 mega data.
Yeah, like I say, my nan has about 500 to a gig, and it's literally just used for WhatsApp.
That's all she used to use it for. She had a Wi-Fi S. All she used to use was Yahoo Mail because Yahoo was her email provider and still is. And there was something else she used it for. I can't think what it was. Weather, Yahoo email, weather, and that was like the only internety thing she ever did. And this Doro, with a data in, I think personally, I could use it. Okay, I wouldn't. They don't get upgraded as much. I don't think it's ever going to get a system update. But for the price, it's not really too hard to every couple of years just go, just put you in the corner and I'll buy the new one.
I think I might actually contact Doro now because that sounds like a great idea to like get my nan to review something for us.
It would be something very different because, like you say, not in fairness, I haven't looked, but yeah, I don't see Doro reviews flashing up.
Yes, I know,
and whatnot.
Yeah, I might even be able to coax her into a video review. See what we can do. So last topic. Do you want to run through this one quickly, Mark, or do you want to skip it?
No, I'd quite like to go through it.
Go for it.
Yeah, this. I mean, we did kind of mention this earlier because you know it keeps kind of coming back. But as people may know, the 3's parent company is trying to buy O2. And related to this, one of O2's MVNO users is Tesco Mobile, and it's actually, you know, it's one of the biggest MVNOs in the UK. Well, Tesco Mobile has said that it would quite like to buy O2's stake in the Tesco Mobile. So, part of this is being driven by the fact that 3 would quite like this to take place, so that it's not also then taking over half of Tesco Mobile, which, given the amount of issues that seems to be happening with monopolies and mergers, would be an issue it just doesn't want to deal with. But also, Tesco looks to be kind of rebounding from its issues over the last couple of years where it's pulling back on various services. So if it's going to be now in complete ownership of its own mobile branded network, you know, there are various possibilities that could come out of this. So far, we have seen in Tesco stores lots more dedicated Tesco mobile retailers. But potentially, I would envisage that what's to stop Tesco having Tesco mobile shops in the high street, like Carphone Warehouse or Vodafone or.
That'd be interesting.
Obviously two of my grandparents are with Tesco Mobile, and my mum was with them, and first she'd been with them for like 10-ish, 6 to 7 years. And their coverage was great. I mean, obviously because they were using O2. But I don't know if any of you lot remember that big O2 blip where everything was just playing up left, right, and centre. Phone calls, you couldn't make phone calls, you couldn't use text, Tesco was unaffected by it.
Yeah, I think that blip, most of the times when these blips take place, it's not because the network's physically broken. It's the connection between the network and the billing computers.
Yeah.
I know it's an issue that GiftGaff had once, where essentially
more than once. Oh my god.
Your phone could quite happily connect to the network and communicate with the network, but it couldn't communicate with the billing computer. So essentially, every time you try to do anything, make a call, send a text message, it then tried to contact your billing computer to appropriately bill you or check to make sure you've got available credit or whatever, and it wouldn't get a response, so it wouldn't work.
I mean, there has been a couple of times. I mean, one of the major GiftGaff times, like the data center was flooded. Sometimes shit just happens. But no one in the country is that unlucky.
But no, I think Tesco running independently, that would be a nice thing to see. Even if they don't throw up in the high street and they just keep it as that little box in the back of the store.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't forget, I mean, it also means that once Tesco buy out the O2's 50% stake, there really would be no reason that Tesco Mobile has to stay with O2.
No.
If they wanted, they could shop around to the alternate networks. Hell, there's no reason why, if you also include the information that 3 has said to get O2, it might be willing to sell some spectrum. Virgin has indicated they could be interested in buying some spectrum. What about if Tesco Mobile was to buy the spectrum?
I mean, it could kind of go any way. But think of it from a different perspective. Tesco could buy O2 stake, 3 and O2 could merge, and then it could say to the then joint 3 and O2, like, you can have a share, but negotiate a better term for Tesco. Like I said, like they could just do that. Like they just didn't want to get swallowed up. They didn't want O2 to get swallowed up by 3 and then still be left with a 50-50 deal. It could be it could be something as simple as that. We just don't know. Possibly.
Some of the thoughts around this is that essentially 3 have kind of been pushing towards O2 and Tesco to make this deal happen because obviously with the amount of shit that 3 is getting from monopolies and mergers, which I think we all agree is bullshit. Unfair.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, I mean this would essentially take out 3 from also owning 50% of one of the UK's largest MVNOs.
I'm trying to think, how many MVNOs are based off of EE's network? I can't think of any anymore.
I can't think of any. Because I know
there was a time when there were a couple based off of like 3s or Oranges, and then for a short amount of time would then technically EE.
Yeah, don't quote me, but I think Asda runs on them.
Is Asda still around?
Asda Mobile is still around, but I don't think it's going to be for very long. Because there was a time when everyone was creating an MVNO.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, everyone and their dog had an MVNO.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of their dog, I think for a short amount of time, HMV even had an MVNO. Weirdly enough.
Quite probably.
Why would a record store need an MVNO? Kids, ask your parents what a record store is. that's kind of the end of the podcast. We're about an hour and 15 minutes in, and I need to go eat some food because I'm very hungry. So are you two okay if we finish up here?
Yeah, I'm fine because unusually I didn't eat before coming on the podcast, so yeah, I want to go eat too.
I've drunk like 2 glasses of whiskey and a cup of tea, and I've not eaten since like 12 o'clock, and it's not
Empty plate.
Yeah,
Shut the fuck up, Chris.
I walked in and there it was
I
on the
will
table.
eject you.
Yeah.
I will eject you from this podcast.
I don't know. I'm not too upset about it. I've been sitting drinking gin, so.
Ugh.
Gin, bitter lemon. It's lovely.
Ugh.
Also, it glows under UV lights.
That's kind of cool. But
Yes.
then again, I'm that deliriously tired that I'm like ooh shiny. So
Yeah.
it could be.
Yeah.
So
Gin, bitter lemon. Awesome.
anyway, thank you for anyone who is watching. This has been episode 17 of Talking Tech. Apple made a small phone again. You can find all of us on Twitter at mobile_dom, at chriswallace959, at mark2410, and at mttfeed. The website is www.mobiletechtalk.co.uk. On Instagram, we are just Mobile Tech Talk. Facebook, we are Mobile Tech Talk UK. YouTube and Google Plus, just search for Mobile Tech Talk. It's easier than saying our full URL, which is a weird piece of shit. And then lastly, Patreon. Patreon.com/Mobile Tech Talk. If you give us some cash, we can make you better shit. So, thank you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.